Running late on overtime, we hit the hot tube. It seems no matter where you go, there's people on the move. Got to the station in distress, lost contact with the guys. The enemy formed barriers and looked for my demise. I'm back in the chapel again, back in the chapel again. Since Jesus came and cleansed my soul, I'm back in the chapel again. Family so important now, and not to have around. Now we're all on the main train. It's looking like it's gonna rain. Arrived in town, all in a fuss. I'm hoping that we catch the bus. Don't want our journey to be in vain, or else I think I'll go insane. Back in the chapel again, back in the chapel again. Since Jesus came and cleansed my soul, I'm back in that chapel again. Arriving in the nick of time, thanking the driver, ain't no crime. I'm sure that we've all done our best. We owe it to the Lord our rest. Then we're greeted as guests. We go inside and up the stairs in the middle of the holy word. Just how we made it quite absurd. Back in the chapel again, back in the chapel again. Since he claimed and cleansed my soul, I'm back in the chapel again. Then we're singing the next hymn, a lovely tone, not awful din. Tears are dropping at a pace, and almost land on daughter's face. Hearing the story of Miriam's life, of how she battled through trouble and strife. Truly a woman with saving faith, without the need of a silver wraith. Back in the chapel again, back in the chapel again. Since he claimed and cleansed my soul, I'm back in the chapel again. Now it's the end of the address, but I don't see no one in distress. Is showing emotion such a crime, or is it really worth the time? We lost, we venture out the doors. It seems that there's so many flaws to this life we're all trapped in, and subject to the bonds of sin. Outside in the country air, seems we have time to stand and stare, slowing down from city's pace. So good to be out of that rat race. I'm back in the chapel again, back in the chapel again. since it came and cleansed my soul. I'm back in that chapel again. After committal, the final prayer, it's good to meet the family there, looking down into Anne's grave. It seems she must be very brave. Then off we go to the wake nearby. Loved one gone, it makes you sigh, but we have one who gives us grace, even when we don't seek his face. Back to the chapel again, back to the chapel again, since it came and cleansed my soul. Back to the chapel again, following on from needed food. Daughter and me, no need to be rude. When I found and near the lake, felt that lovely scene God did make. Now Uncle gives us a lift. It's better than a family rift. Reminiscing about their first house, I stayed as quiet as a mouse. Back in the chapel again, I'm back in the chapel again, since Jesus came and made me whole. I'm back in the chapel again. Presently back in the big smoke, seems life here's some kind of joke. Thank God for faith from above. His Holy Spirit gives us love. Back in the chapel again, back in the chapel again, since Jesus came and he made me whole. I'm back in the chapel again. I cannot be denied. I will not be denied. I shall not be denied, since Jesus came and he saved my soul. And I'm back in the chapel again.